Her evidence not only raises the question of the validity of the president to hold his office, but also shows that Barack Obama spent over $1 million attempting to hide his birth certificate, has used Social Security numbers that aren't his own, has tampered with passport records, and that an officer that was a suspect in those tamperings attempted to collaborate with the FBI and was murdered. Dr. Orly Tate, which we'll see here in a moment, is a lawyer that is attempting to petition the courts to listen to her evidence that Barack Obama is unlawfully serving as the President of the United States of America.
He's not under oath to follow the orders of the President. We're not a banana republic where El Presidente decides. We are a nation of law and order. We're a nation of Constitution of the United States of America. And the orders have to be lawful. Based on the Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, the President and Commander-in-Chief has to be a natural-born citizen. Barack Hussein Obama Sr. was never a citizen of the United States. He was here on a student visa. At that time, Kenya was a British colony, and he was a British citizen. At birth, according to a British Nationality Act, Obama was a British citizen. At best, he had dual allegiance, dual citizenship, which is not allowed for the President and Commander-in-Chief. As a matter of fact, there is a famous letter from John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, to George Washington, explaining that it's extremely important for the Commander-in-Chief to be a natural-born citizen so that he would not owe allegiance to any other nations. And that's exactly what we have with Obama. Both of your parents have to be U.S. citizens. His father was never a U.S. citizen. He was a British citizen, and Obama had British citizenship at birth. When he was 2 years old, Kenya became independent country, and he became a Kenyan citizen. And later on, when his mother immigrated to Indonesia, he became Indonesian citizen. You know what? If you were to look for somebody who is the least eligible to be the President of the United States, that would be Barack Hussein Obama with his British and Kenyan and Indonesian citizenship. It's a serious problem. Moreover, the state of Hawaii has a statute 338-5 that allows one to get a birth certificate based on a statement of one relative only without any corroborating evidence, meaning he could have been born in Kenya, he could have been born in Indonesia, God knows where, and his mother, all she had to do, just come to health department and tell them, my son was born here, and she would get a birth certificate in Hawaii. I mean, the whole world knows he wasn't born here, and we became a laughingstock of the whole world only because of Obama's arrogance and because media did not confront him. Condoleezza Rice last year has reported that there was tampering with the passport records of the leading candidates for president, and it was widely believed that Obama was the reason for this tampering. In Washington Post has stated that one of the suspects, Lieutenant Colonel Harris, has cooperated with FBI, and shortly after he was found shot in the head. Why aren't you reporting about it? Why aren't you following up to find out what happened to this gentleman?
Why have you ruled that out, running nationally?
You know, I am a believer in knowing what you're doing when you apply for a job. And I think that if I were to seriously consider running on a national ticket, I would essentially have to start now before having served a day in the Senate. Now, there's some people who might be comfortable doing that, but I'm not one of those people.
In the past few weeks, Wall Street's been rocked as banks closed and markets tumbled.
What I was suggesting, you're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that has not
Christian
come my Christian faith. And well, what I'm saying is he hasn't suggested that I'm a Muslim.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation, at least not just. We are also a Jewish nation, a Muslim nation, and a Buddhist nation, and a Hindu nation, and a nation of non-believers.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded. In Europe, the view that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world rather than a force to help us make it right has become all too common. Yes, there have been differences between America and Europe. No doubt there will be differences in the future. But the burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. A change of leadership in Washington will not lift this burden. In this new century, Americans and Europeans alike will be required to do more, not less. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way, the one way, to protect our common security and advance our common humanity.
And as Elaine Quijano tells us, it's a secret society that's still well represented in the halls of Congress.
And for all the conspiracy theories about Freemasons, this much is true. They can still be found at the highest levels of American government. From the Capitol to the White House.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. We're both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America?
A shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself.
About the biggest restructuring we have ever seen, not just of the global economy, but of the global order as a whole, of the New World Order.
New World Order, UN's founder. New World Order, UN's founder.
They have basically said to the entire United States, we don't care what the people say, we don't care what the Congress says, we don't care what the other oversight organizations say.
What does that mean for America? What does that mean for America?